All right. Welcome back to the channel. This is a return to Burn. Burn is secretly the best deck in Premodern. And the only reason why it's not actually the best deck in Premodern is because Dreadnought is actually the best deck in Premodern. But Burn beats every deck besides Dreadnought that you need to worry about in tournaments. So, what if we had 15 sideboard cards to board in for Dreadnought, and then we just never lost to Dreadnought, and we just beat all the other decks? Now, I know what you're thinking. That's crazy. You need to have cards like Price of Progress, Lava Dart, Flaring Pain, more Curse Scrolls, maybe Fledgling Dragon. I actually kind of love Fledgling Dragon, but that's for another episode of this. And my answer to you is, what if you don't? What if those cards don't actually do anything? Like Price of Progress these days never does more than 4 damage because people just don't put a lot of non-basic lands in play. And a lot of the decks that can't help but put a lot of non-basic lands in play are playing lots of non-basic lands. So they take a lot of damage from their mana base. Sometimes those non-basic lands are like Gemstone Mines, so maybe they disappear before you can land that thick Price of Progress. Don't get me wrong. I have Price of Progress to people for 6 or 10, and it's amazing. But maybe I would have still won those games. Tell you the games that I wouldn't have won are all the games against Phyrexian Dreadnought, where it just put a 12-12 on the battlefield and you lose. So we're going to try to fix that. We have 15 sideboard cards for Dreadnought. Thankfully, at least 9 of these sideboard cards have overlap into other matchups. And then, I don't know, you can make an argument that sometimes you want to overload targeting Mox Diamond, but honestly, I wouldn't bother. But you could make an argument. As for the main deck, we're also needing to use our favorite card in the main deck, Earthquake, because we had need to open up sideboard space, and we kind of cut Ball Lightning, or trimmed 3 copies of Ball Lightning, which is kind of like a sink or swim card. You win a lot of games because you drew Ball Lightning, so this is not a card that I'm happy to cut. But while we're in the process of cutting it, it lets us try out a little bit of Mishra's Factory. I was running 4 Barbarian Rings. I loved having lots of Barbarian Rings because I loved having lots of lands. However, those multiple Barbarian Ring draws ended up getting a little clunky. You know, if I draw 2 or 3 Barbarian Rings, maybe I don't even have the mountains to activate them. Maybe there's a little bit of tension with Grim Lavamancer, some stuff here or there. I wanted to try out Mishra's Factory. And the other reason being, it's important to have more creatures in the Dreadnought matchup than Burn Spell. So Barbarian Ring is Burn Spell and Mishra's Factory is a creature. In fact, all of my testing demonstrated that you just want creatures all of the time. While people think that the Premodern Burn deck is a burn deck, it actually turns out that the Premodern Burn deck resembles more of a creature and removal deck, like a beatdown deck that, just imagine like a red-green beatdown deck that has 2/2s and 3/3s and some lightning bolts, and most of the time uses lightning bolts and incinerates to clear out blockers. And then, obviously if your opponent's life total is low enough, changes his attention to deal with the face. So because of that, Mishra's Factory thrives in that environment. And of course, there's minor synergy with Earthquake clearing out the board and not clearing out your own Mishra's Factory, so you can kind of start attacking sooner. We'll see if any of that comes up. That's all good in theory. Not having 4 Ball Lightning doesn't feel great in theory. It's a great card. But you can at least say that there's enough removal, counter magic, heavy mana cost, whatever. There's enough kind of stuff going on that maybe discourages you from playing Ball Lightning. I wouldn't say that. A lot of times you draw Ball Lightning and you just win the game because you drew Ball Lightning. So again, it pains me to cut Ball Lightning, but desperate times call for desperate measures. To catch you up, if you're new to the channel, I play 4 Sulfuric Vortex and Burn. I would never play less than 4. It is the second best card, the third best card. Best cards are Lightning Bolts, Fireblast, and then Sulfuric Vortex. This card's amazing. I don't understand why people don't play more copies. I have outlined countless arguments surrounding it, but there's no ceiling to the amount of damage that you can do with Sulfuric Vortex, which is a big deal because if you are killing your opponent's creatures, then you are reducing the amount of damage you can deal with your spell. So you have to make up for that difference with some form of card advantage, and Sulfuric Vortex delivers that virtually. And of course, because you're the burn deck and your opponent takes the 2 damage first, and you'll have some burn spells in your hand, you very rarely kill yourself with Sulfuric Vortex unless your opponent's deck also contains lightning bolt style cards or creatures with haste. But most of the time, Sulfuric Vortex is just going to be faster than what your opponent does. And your deck, of course, is just super lean and is going to be faster than what your opponent does, period. Other than that, I just wanted to discuss some of the matchup matrix stuff with Burn. You might have seen this on data.duresscrew.com. Basically, these are the matchups, and the reason why I said Burn is the best deck in the format is because my data is not the same as this data. So over here, we have the Burn mirror match. My deck is famously supposed to be bad in the mirror, but you know what else is bad in the mirror? Drawing too many lands, drawing too few lands, your opponent drawing 2 more Fireblast than you do, etc., etc. So like they find Curse Scroll for it. Like you have so little control of stuff in the mirror. Like I'm just not going to be playing Lava Dart, which is just a horrible spell, just to help myself out a little bit in the mirror. But then moving down, Burn versus Goblins, supposedly behind, as I have demonstrated now multiple times on this very channel. Burn is very ahead. So let's just put that at, if we're being generous, 60, but I would say 70%, probably 75%. I mean, 75% if you use like the real match data, 75 or above % if you use the real match data. Same goes for elves. My experience, you're in great shape unless your opponent is playing precisely natural order for Phantom Nishoba elves. Then it just kind of depends if you draw Sulfuric Vortex. Terrageddon, I haven't played the matchup very much. The fact that they play Call the Herd and Giant Terravores and Armageddon is kind of scary, but also the rest of their deck is just lands and Sylvan Library, which is like not a card that you're threatened by. So I don't really know where this 40% comes from. Maybe the Terrageddon builds are playing a lot of hateful sideboard magic. Honestly, don't know. You should be great against Grotog. I think this number is roughly accurate. And now I'm playing 6 Blast, so I'm much less vulnerable to chill. Replenish at close to 50% reflects my experience. Whoever wins on turn 4 wins, and that's pretty much it. Red Green Oath Ponza. I'm happy to see that we are favored. We're going to be a lot less favored without any price progress in the sideboard, but I expect to see a lot less of this. Black White Control. Every deck is 60% against Black White Control. Enchantress, honestly, 37% seems high. This should be a really tough matchup. And again, I haven't been seeing it around, so whatever. The Rock, this number is low. It should be closer to 70%. Survival Rock, I think this number should at least be 50%. I tested this matchup a sort of reasonable amount and came to the conclusion that Survival Rock has good cards against Burn, but as a deck isn't necessarily consistently drawing like the right combinations of cards to matter, right? So it's like they have, they can get duress get duress burn spells out, or they can get a couple walls going. There's a lot of good things that can happen to them, but like just drawing 2 walls doesn't necessarily mean that you win, because you also have to close out the game. Because sure, you can survive the early game against Burn, you can block the early Jackal Pups and whatever, but if Burn just starts drawing ball lanings, which I don't have anymore, but whatever, or Sulfuric Vortex, then you're still under pressure to kill them before they kill you. And the one of the features of Survival Rock is that it's very slow to kill you. Like, so I'd rather be a deck with Anger and Deranged Hermit rather than and Kamal, rather than a deck with no Anger and that has to just like spend like G to like, G like to sort of dig around for creatures, and at the end of the turn you've spent like 6 mana, you've put like 3 power on the battlefield. It's just like not that good. And of course I run a lot of Sulfuric Vortex, so you're going to have much fewer outs to Ravenous Baloth type shenanigans. Mono blue Dreadnought, this is a matchup we're trying to fix. 22% honestly feels accurate to what's going to happen. You practically lose every game one. If you're on the play, you can get lucky and still get there. Survival Madness, I have pretty solid experience. Same thing with Survival Rock and Survival Elves. These survival decks spend a lot of mana to spin up their situation. So if your opponent was just playing like a lot of Call of the Herd, like whatever, like that's pretty much the same thing as like Survival Madness, because you're like, you play survival, that's one energy, you've done nothing, right? So Burn gets to like play a creature, attack you. It's like, okay, well now you're gonna go G, discard, like go get something. It's like you've spent 3 and you've just drawn 1 card. The first thing you get is Squee, so then you go discard that again, and then you go get something else. So you've spent 4 mana into 1 card. And that's like just to Diabolic Tutor, right? And then you put a creature in play, whatever you spend mana for. Now, granted, Basking Rootwalla here is kind of like the thing that makes Survival Madness a lot different from Survival Rock and Elves, in that at that point, then they just get a bunch of value, right? Because they can just put 4 Rootwallas on the battlefield, and they have a bunch of Rootwallas on the battlefield, then your Jackal Pups are stopped forever. Or if they just get a bunch of Squeeze, then Wild Mongrel becomes an unkillable threat, and you're racing a 5/5, and you're not in great shape. So Survival Madness actually, I think, has better tools to combat against Burn. It gets board in Blue Blasts after sideboarding, but 32% is just like way too low. Like you still pressure them a lot. They still kind of have to need their draws to line up, and you still got plenty of game. 75% against Landstill. Honestly, that seems kind of high. Every Landstill player I know plays 1,000 Copperhead, Warmth, Chill, Blue Blast in their sideboard. Psychotog, never played it. Assume that we should be doing better than 60%. Don't really see what they do besides take forever to set up Psychotog and then just like lose to Blue Blast out of the sideboard. Again, we have 6 Blue Blasts. Dog to Stasis, sort of makes sense. Stasis is a tricky deck to play against, but generally speaking, you should be able to like Fireblast them out. And honestly, our Mogg Salvage situation is going to be like really good against the card Black Vice. And of course, we have 6 blasts now. So we're going to fix the Stasis matchup. And not listed on here is the Tide matchup. Also a tricky matchup. But again, 6 blue blasts is going to help you a lot. Keep those chills off the battlefield. So this is the future of Burn. I'm very excited to see where I can take this deck. I don't know if I can think of a better card for the sideboard right now. But yeah, we're going to bring in 15 cards for Dreadnought. It's going to be great. And of course, we're probably not going to face Dreadnought in our random 6 matches. But if we do, they are not going to see this amount of hate coming, and it's going to be great. So for the first time, fingers crossed, we run into Dreadnought, lose game 1 immediately, get flooded in game 3, end up losing the match anyways, despite the fact that we have so much sideboard. But that's showbiz. Final thing I forgot to mention about the Dreadnought matchup, a big thing that happens post sideboard is like, even if you do this, right, they're like a gush deck. So they have gush and cantrips, and we have just like draw step. So it's really, really hard to make our draw steps more powerful than their draw steps. So they can wait until they have Dreadnought triple coverage, because, you know, if we have these 15 spells, what are we going to be pressuring them with? Like, an important caveat about Burn is that Incinerate, Seal of Fire, and Lightning Bolt are not pressure unless your opponent is at 3 life. So these cards are really bad against Dreadnought, because it's impossible for you to trade them for a card until they're at a very low life total. In fact, the only target is Mishra's Factory up until that point. So one thing that I'm maybe like encouraged by is the idea that now that we have so many cards that we can bring in, we can finally sideboard out all the Incinerates, all the Seal of Fire, maybe even all the Lightning Bolts. I'm not sure, but you know, 15 cards are coming in. We got to do something. We have to side out Curse Scroll, because we're going to be holding all these differently named cards in our hand. So, you know, have to side out Curse Scroll. And obviously Earthquake is just a really, really, really bad blaze here. So those are probably going to go out, but, you know, we'll be left with, you know, sort of 8-12 threats. We can keep Mishra's Factory off the battlefield thanks to our, you know, Overload and Mogg Salvages. We have our own Mishra's Factory that can get tangled, get into the battlefield, provide us that you know, recurring incremental value. And maybe, just maybe, we can take down the big bad shrimp. Let's see what happens. All right, jumping into match 1 versus La Parquita. And we're on the play, so we can't lose. Can't lose game 1 on the play, except for if we draw 6 lands. Well, 5 lands. This is much better, though. This is the dream. This 6 card hand is better than most 5 card hands ever. I mean, I wouldn't mind a lightning bolt instead of a Fireblast in case my opponent comes up with an idea to block my Jackal Pup in future turns, but... And obviously this 6 card hand cannot beat... Oh, we're playing against Grotog? Ooh. Love a Grotog fan here. Love the pitch City of Brass here. This is the best start that Grotog can hope for, minus having like the turn 1 Korean Dryad with Days backup. But I'm on the play. I'm never going to lose to Grotog on the play with this sort of draw. I mean, if they play Call of the Herd next turn, I could be in trouble. They have the Mox Diamond, which is key for them. They pitch the City of Brass. They don't have to play that. That's really good for them. Lots of good things are happening for them. I'm rooting for Grotog, to be clear. The real question is if I'm going to threaten a Korean Dryad post sideboard. That's like another City of Brass. Man, I am sorry that you are in that spot, my friend. Maybe you'll never have to tap it. Ball Lightning into Counterspell Daze? Probably not. Probably going to wait till it's a lethal Ball Lightning. Also, if they had Fire Ice, I would have just been completely cooked this game. Yeah, Grotog has some fight, huh? But yeah, the AK version, which of course is the best version. The AK version is much worse against burn, right? Because you're paying 2 mana for your cantrips. It's just not where you want to be. Korean Dryad. Okay, so what would you do here? They never have 2 instant speed cantrips. So I'm expecting this Korean Dryad is just going to trade for a Jackal Pup. But of course, they ended up in this situation, which allows me to do this through Gush. And if they cast the Gush, which they have to, the Dryad still dies, which is a good place for me to be. So Counterspell's out of their hand. They're at a very healthy life total. I'm at 2 cards in hand. I really wish that... I don't know. I really wish I had a little bit more going for me, but they did tap the City of Brass that turn. They gushed at a time that was really bad for their mana, right? So they spent, instead of being able to gush main phase and get that extra little leverage out of the mana. So the big question is if you would Fireblast here just to get it in. But obviously with the Ball Lightning in my hand, I'm not a huge fan of doing that. Plus they counterspell the Seal of Fire. I mean, that's actually great for me. Well, that's interesting. So now the accumulate knowledge becomes good, right? Because they could potentially AK up to like a place that's a happy place. Ooh. So this is an interesting one. I kind of want to cast Ball Lightning, but if they have Daze, it's like a super gigantic blowout because the Daze is going to prevent. The Daze is going to force me to Fireblast the Dryad, and then. I guess it's okay if I Fireblast the Dryad. I also have to draw a Mountain. Otherwise, I'm just attacking. I'm not running my Ball Lightning into Daze. Don't mind the Seal of Fire. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean... If it's Daze... it's Daze, right? The upside is too good for my Jackal Pup to continue dealing damage. It also takes Daze out of their range, so if they play Korean Dryad next turn, I'm going to be hyped. And now they're 8, so they're in a total manageable, get burned. But, third Dryad's fine. If they don't play the island, it's interesting. Island Mox, huh. Pitching that. Another Dryad? AK? Okay. Don't hate this spot. Don't hate the spot for the burn player. I think they're cooked if they don't have foil, though. I really hope I don't get Armageddon next turn. Or Daze this turn. All right, we got in, and that means our opponent's dead. All right, let us not get chilled, huh? Earthquake isn't it. I mean, it might have to be if they're playing Nimble Mongoose. Can't really live in fear of that. They didn't draw any Swords of Plowshares or Fire Ice. Curse Scroll is one of your best cards against Grotog. Sulfuric Vortex is interesting. I think it's pretty important, especially if I'm going to bring in all these blasts. I'm just going to blast everything too. Like when you bring in 6 blasts, now I just get a blast. Anyways, I start blasting type stuff. But we're just going to assume that if we're like living in a chill world, we don't want to have too many giant spells to be drawing towards. Like we want to be able to create perpetual value, but what's going to happen is we're actually going to play this sort of similarly to Dreadnought, where I'm just going to try to burn down every Korean Dryad and like whatever Korean Dryad and Call the Herd token, and Meddling Mage is obviously blank, and Psychotog gets covered by Blast. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to be playing against Grotog here with my 6 blast sideboard here. Yeah, it's fine for me to cut. Incinerate. Kind of need maximum burn, maximum creature. So there's no card left to board out besides Sulfuric Vortex. Sulfuric Vortex also isn't good unless you can get it down before they cast Armageddon. You can't play it after they cast Armageddon. So, and the accumulated knowledge version of the deck is less likely to play Daze at least. All right, well, we're gonna hold up Red Elemental Blast for potential chills. Opponent just passes the turn. They got me. Mogg Fanatic is like a little treat. Did I say treat? I meant threat. Okay. I like my opponent just not casting spells and not playing multiple lands. That's like not a place I'm mad at. Fireblast number 2. Not going to be mad about that either. Play Grim Lavamancer. Surely Grim Lavamancer eats a counter spell of some sort. All right, surely Curse Scroll. Curse Scroll is worth blasting over, by the way. So if they somehow have an annul here. But yeah, against Counterspell, I'm just going to blast. And hope they don't just like gush Psychotog next turn or something egregious like that. All right, we have a Curse Scroll. It is really hard to lose with Curse Scroll on the battlefield, but it can be done because of Armageddon. If you're wondering why, the reason is because of Armageddon. There's the chill. That's fine, I guess. I've kind of got everything I need. I'm just going to 3-mana Lightning Bolt. And I can even 2-mana Fireblast down the line. The only thing is I cannot afford to be Armageddoned. Barbarian Ring. That's the worst one to draw. It's not a mountain. So I am going to play the Barbarian Ring because, of course, if I top deck a mountain, it lets me hold up the Curse Scroll activation in addition to the double Fireblast. I could get Armageddon, but also I can go Bolt Lavamancer this turn, which isn't the worst place to be. But yeah, the chill did happen, so... Swords of Plowshares. Come on. You're not supposed to have other relevant things. At least it stops the Armageddon from happening for a turn. While we're here, I'm just gonna go ahead and I have to like Lightning Bolt a stupid Korean guy. And it seems crazy to Lightning Bolt a Korean guy, but it's still something I would have to do because of Mogg Fanatic. Psychotog is much worse. Call the Herd is fine. Luckily, this Undiscovered Paradise is going to ship it back to the hand to stop them from having Call the Herd. again soon, and then Crystal will be online. Lightning Bolts is not the worst draw. I can deal with the next herd token. And yeah, again, Fading Armageddon for another turn, unless they have Gush Diamond Armageddon, in which case, you know, just GG, bruh. Some games you're not meant to win if that happens. Yeah, so they have that. I might name Fireblast. It's hard to say because I really want to have this bolt for the call the herd token. Okay, the clicking it went back to not working. I'm not sure why. Got him. And we draw Bloodstained Mire. Man, it is really, really dicey. Because if I get Armageddon, I mean, I guess if I get Armageddon, I win, right? Because I'm just going to cast 2 Fireblasts. I'm going to cast 2 Fireblasts and then use the Barbarian Ring. It's 10 damage. I can also just do it now if I wanted to. See if they get the basic planes. They do get the basic planes. Gush Armageddon with foil backup is what they need. They're thinking about playing a cantrip there, it seemed like, and then they just decided not to because they would have just died to 10 damage directly. Flashback Call the Herd. Okay, so chat, what would you do? Would you just kill them or would you just continue getting in your chip damage? It's kind of hard to say. I kind of just want to kill them, right? Because kill them seems good. I guess if I resolve this lightning bolt, it puts them down to 7, 6, 2, and then I only have to resolve one of the Fireblasts. So instead, I'll just lightning bolt them. I didn't do my math right. I do actually have to draw a mountain for Fireblast to be lethal here. Okay, now I'm in a really weird spot. Okay, they do have random foil, which is a relief to me because they foiled the first one and not the one that was going to kill them. And they're flooded out. Because I was thinking of just going down to whatever, but I guess I should have. I mean, I don't know. I could wait for drawing more blue blast. If I draw blue blast, just kill the chill. And the foil makes them worse against Armageddon. They didn't board out AK. I wonder what they boarded out. Paradise, huh? Well, they don't have Armageddon, so that's the good news. The bad news is we drew Incinerate, which is not like a card that I want to draw. Another AK. Enlightened Tutored? What? What kind of Grow Talk list is this? Worship? Oh, they do have Nimble Mongoose. All right, I have to board in Earthquake then. I see that you're a student of the awesome technology. Dang, I missed. Okay, let's just draw a mountain then. Dang, I didn't draw a mountain. So I'll just play a Jackal Pup then. Man, I'm going to lose this game to Nimble Mongoose Worship. Oh, I guess I could Fireblast the Elephant token. Just attack for 4. Seems kind of good. Discover Paradise. Now is a good time to Armageddon. There's the Mongoose. Okay, can't kill that. Let's go ahead and move on to our Earthquake plan. Earthquake is back. Yeah, Vortex is whatever. Guess they sandbagged the chill, huh? I thought I was in such great shape, and then they Enlightened Tutored for Worship, and then I lost. It's okay, I have Earthquake in my deck. I mean, all the creatures are still good. All the burn spells are still good. Seal of Fire is the worst burn spell because it doesn't kill anything. Like, it doesn't kill anything besides Dryad. They didn't play Dryad that game. They might have just been completely uninterested in ever casting Dryad, which, I don't know, is kind of plausible. I think Threaten is a spicy meatball, but once again, it's completely uncastable with Chill on the battlefield, so. That's showbiz. I would love to Mogg Salvage a freaking Mox Diamond just for the lulz. Why not? I mean, if they're going to Armageddon me, being able to Mogg Salvage a Mox Diamond is like not the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Tell me that's not the dumbest thing you've ever heard. It's like, I mostly don't need Seal of Fire to win the game, right? Stupid Mogg Salvage is going to be stuck in my hand, though, and I'm not going to be able to activate my Curse Scroll. That's actually the problem. I only have 2 Curse Scrolls, though. They have 4 Moxes. They really want to cast them, because if they don't cast them, they have to play Undiscovered Paradise and City of Brass, which is super bad. Oh, the famous one-lander. Still a keep. This is not a hand that can hold up the blast for chill, though. But they have chill and worship. It's like I'm not trying to beat both chill and worship. Like, I'm playing 15 sideboard cards to beat Dreadnought. Like, if you play 15 sideboard cards to beat Burn, then you deserve it, right? Enlightened Tutor for chill worship is okay. And then of course I'm not going to beat first turn chill. Okay. No first turn chill this time. Get in with Mogg. Play Grim. Grim gets in. A little 8k on turn 1. I like it. I mean, if you're sort of able to extend the game, you might get to the point where you 8k for 2. 8k for 2 is pretty good. God, if you imagine I drew the Mogg Salvage, though, that turn. I needed it that turn. I don't have a Seal of Fire in my hand, so I can't really pretend. I wonder if it's important to find their next land drop. It'd be interesting if it was. No. Now they chill. Also, now I might just hold up Blast. Oh, Sword Splash Airs. That's kind of rude. Guess I should have played the Mogg Fanatic. All right. It's like if they have chill, they could have chill with Blast backup, so I kind of have to just get pressure on the battlefield. Like if they, like, because they could have chill counterspell, right? And if they chill counterspell, then they just get me anyways. This little gush time. Oh, it's just Call the Herd. I can bolt an elephant. Interesting. I would have probably started with the gush because I'd rather cast chill this turn instead of Call the Herd if I drew chill. I wonder how many they have. Judging by vibes, maybe not a lot. This Mishra's Factory draw is kind of funny. This turn and this turn only, I wish it was Barbarian Ring, but alas. Man, this Earthquake is going to be so bad. I still need 4 lands. I play Plains. There's the Goose. Yeah, I mean, it's like I might Earthquake for 1, but probably not, right? Yeah. Okay, well. They can put a card in their graveyard here, right? Just gonna be an AK. Oops. Don't play something I need to blast. God, I wish I drew friggin' Mogg Salvage ever. Of course, didn't draw Seal of Fire, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I can beat the Worship. Oh, they're gonna give me a window on this Dryad, I guess. They're gonna try to cast 3 spells? I guess it's like a 2-for-1 if I never thought about it like that. Korean Dryad's actually pretty good in Spurn, right? Because it's like a multi-for-1. It's like a 3-for-1 or 2-for-1. If you have like go Korean Dryad, then you go Sorcery, then you go Instant, then you can just like have the burn player like throwing a lot of spells at it, which is net positive for you. Anyways, I didn't want to lose my Mishra's Factory to the Nimble Mongoose. It just wouldn't be good because I need lands. They do want to race. They are interested in racing. Okay, we just need to get to 4 lands ever, preferably 5 lands, so we can Earthquake with the Red Blast backup. Oh, there's the Barbarian Ring. Also beginning to smell like they don't play Psychotog in their deck. Dude, Sword's my freaking Mishra's Factory is cold. All right, we just need to draw 2 lands ever. We have so many in the deck. Surely it's going to happen. Man, we're just going to lose to Grotog. It's okay. I'm rooting for Grotog. Nimble Mongoose is going to hit us enough times, I think. And because they have 2 accumulated knowledge in the graveyard, they're just going to have all the resources they need. 2 Nimble Mongoose. That, at least I don't mind. Well, I guess I mind it a little because now they can just hold up Counterspell for the rest of the game. Call the Herd. Taking 1. Bolt this stupid thing. Yeah, I have to bolt this stupid thing because I'm gonna like chump block with Mogg Fanatic next turn, and then hopefully stick the Earthquake. Can't play the Jackal Pup, huh? Ugh. Yeah, I actually needed to not let my Mishra's Factory get plowshared. That was like horrible. It's weird that if I had Barbarian Ring instead, that would have prevented me from making that kind of mistake. But yeah, this is quite the clock here. So it's 3 attacks even if I suck up 1 attack, right? Because it'll be 15 exact. So it actually doesn't matter. No, I actually do have to absorb 1 attack because the Earthquake's going to deal 3 damage to me. Wow. Well, it's going to deal 4 damage to me because of the Barbarian Ring. But I need to give myself the out to draw a land this turn. Like if they're going to just tap out like that for Call the Herd, I need to be able to top deck land for Earthquake. But now their shields are up. Maybe they don't play Counterspell post board. Take 3, take 6, take 4. Pass the turn. Lots of mana up. Wooded Foothills deals 1 damage to me. So now I'm going to take 6 plus 2 for my lands. I'll be at 4. And then I'll be at 1. So I have to draw Basic Mountain as my very next card. I guess I could have thought about playing Jackal Pup to draw the lethal outs. No, because I'm never casting double Fireblast. And single Fireblast isn't enough. No, the Mishra's Factory. What would I have done though? Would I have like actually not cast Earthquake like this turn? I would have had to. Gush time. Ain't no time to blast like now. Oh, they're fine letting that get countered, huh? Basic Mountain 1 time, please, dealer. And then Incinerate. And I'm dead. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we don't keep the 1-lander in the future, I suppose. All right, match 2, playing against McLean Denny. The man who has a last name for a first name and a first name for a last name. Wow. this hand would have been 3 Barbarian Rings, which somehow would have been better because it would have been able to cast the Ball Lightning. Okay, it's okay. We'll just top deck him out and it's fine. So McLean's been on a Terragon kick recently, and if that is indeed what he's playing, then it'll be a good test for if our deck is actually behind against Terragon. With this all non-basic land draw, it is definitely going to be pretty bad against Weathered Wayfarer Wasteland lock shenanigans. Oh my god. Literally the Wasteland God draw Sylvan Library. That's fine. But yeah, Wastelands. Oh, we drew a Basic Mountain. Too free for the bean. It's too free for the bean. Too laggy for the bean, too. Pay 4 life. Just do it. Just pay 4 life, see what happens. Can't be that bad. We're in like kind of a weird interaction point, right? Because in order to cast this Ball Lightning, we have to never play Mishra's Factory until turn 4. But like there's a world in which we want to play at turn 2 or turn 3 because we want to attack with it on turn 4. So instead on turn 4, instead of having like Ball Lightning plus 1 drop, I'm going to have like Ball Lightning plus Mishra's Factory. So yeah, Ball Lightning and Mishra's Factory aren't friends. Not just because if you have like a bunch of mountains or you have fewer red sources, but also because if you have the Mishra's Factory and the red sources, you're like losing mana sort of anyways. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like good because I drew 4 lands, right? So if 4 lands, one of the, like if they were all mountains or even all Barbarian Rings anyways, like this is a good case, right? I would rather draw a Mishra's Factory than 3 Barbarian Rings in this case. But yeah, part of the idea was like Mishra's Factory is supposed to save me life, but it never actually saves me life for a Barbarian Ring because all my cards have R, and RRR. Hopefully I can... I mean, 2 things can happen here. I mean, it's a little tricky because this wasteland means that a Terravore is huge if it enters the battlefield. Not really a fan of that. And I almost want to just keep Terravore in a place where it's where it can be lightning bolted. Kind of an interesting conundrum. Huh. Well, my opponent doesn't have Swords of Plowshares. They basically mulliganed to 5 with these cards. I mean, they got some Sylvan Library selection in. So what am I worried about? Almost nothing. Terravore is the only thing I'm worried about. They didn't cast it this turn, but it would have been too small this turn. So I think we're going to continue on this line. God, is it too conservative? I really don't want to send 2 lightning bolts at Terravore, right? So you can put 3. Let's say fetch land Terravore. I think we can play the Barbarian Ring, right? We can play the Barbarian Ring. If they go any land that doesn't put itself into the graveyard plus Terravore, we have lightning bolt it and then Grim Lavamancer exiling our Barbarian Ring, and they'll be left with not enough lands in the graveyard. And we can't just like wait until we draw mountains. But my worry is that they could plowshare the Lavamancer. And our Brush Hopper would be much better than Call the Herd in this specific spot. But yeah, I'm happy to see a Terravore here, right? Unless they go... No, yeah, I'm happy to see a Terravore here. Okay, these are all fine things. These are all things that are fine. I mean, the Terravore is a 4/4 now. So I wanted to draw the card off library. Only 3 cards in hand left. What can they do with 1 forest? Okay, so we are going to double bolt a Terry, right? 9 damage and burn in hand. I guess we'll chalk this one up to maybe the Phyrexian Furnace gamers were onto something. Would be a hilarious way to change the way that this matchup works. Another Mox Diamond. Well, I think I'm getting Terravore into Armageddon soon. I think there's no sense in not just shipping the double bolts here. Like next turn I can Incinerate Bolt, but I can also Sulfuric Vortex this turn too, which is pretty solid. It takes away their... kill their own Terravore line, or plowshares their own Terravore line. It also just puts them a lot of pressure on them, and then it also makes it so that they really don't want to cast Armageddon this turn. So yeah, they cast the Mox Diamond so that they can have the Terravore escape single bolt Mogg Fanatic range, but I feel like this is going to be worse for them. That was a good top deck. It's kind of exactly what I needed now that this game has gotten to the sort of like low resource part. I had a 2-for-1 Armageddon anyways, because that's the only way that this game is gonna happen back for them. Yeah, makes sense. But I'm doing 3 damage a turn and you're at 13. But maybe they know they're next. I mean, if they just pay 4 life and then go land Terravore, then I'm dead. So there is that. I also didn't draw the land, so that's also not bad. I just wish I drew a few more basic mountains. I just like didn't have to yeah, I don't know. Honestly, now that I look at the board state again, I'm just like, this is not good for me, because eventually they're just going to draw the next Terravore. Oh man, that shortened the clock, or that shortened my, or lengthened my clock rather. We got Bloodstained Mire. Huh. I guess I just kill this Sylvan Safekeeper now. There's really no longer any instance where I would like use a spell on it. Okay, we just need to draw a Mountain Fireblast, right? Maybe I should have, no, because the Terravore would have been gigantic. I was thinking maybe I should have spent some amount of time thinking what happens if I don't double blast or double bolt the Terravore. But if I double bolted face instead and played the Sulfuric Vortex, things would have been still, I'm not sure. But yeah, this Vortex is done. Oh, disenchant time. Interesting. Interesting. They haven't drawn their third land yet. If I draw Mishra's Factory as my next land, that's going to be a little bit funny. Let's go ahead and pull the Incinerate. I've got a lot to do with my mana right now. Earthquake. Well, this would have been a ball lightning, so. Well, now Fireblast is lethal. I think I'm gonna overload Mox Diamonds. Oh man, that seems so ridiculous. But if they're just gonna do this, like, don't I just overload the Mox Diamonds? That seems really, really sus. I honestly have no idea. I really wish I'd been able to kill the Mox Diamonds in the Grotog matchup, but I mean, I guess I'll just bring in overloads because their like favorite card is Zern Orb. So they have the Terravore now. As long as it's not a 12-12, it's an 11-11. That's perfect. That's perfect. Except for they're gonna port me, and it can block ball lightning. Woof. Okay, Fireblast, 1-time dealer. Otherwise, you're gonna get an illustration of why this deck beats Burn. No, no, Fireblast isn't even a win now. I draw my 3-cost cards. I drew 5 lands this game. Why don't you let me draw 6 instead? No, come on, not like this. They had like a random Sylvan Safekeeper to block my Mogg Fanatic. It's so unfair. I drew 4 3-drops. I think a Curse Scroll would have been similarly useless. I took some damage from Barbarian Ring. Now I don't have my stupid Price of Progress. Lair land to pick up Rishon Import. They're inviting me back into the game. Oh, they're just doing that. I like it, actually. A lot of people don't find this play. It's a surprising one. Okay, well, we didn't draw Fireblast, so that's not fair. It's not fair to us. We won't threaten. And yeah, we'll just play Overload. If they have Zern Orb, then I'm going to want like more answers to it, and I have a feeling that... So Earthquake kills random Sylvan Safekeeper. They have the Treva's Ruins, which makes them look like they might have random Meddling Mage too, but I think we're going to go with no Earthquakes. It's like kind of good against Paula Herd, but not like great. And I think Seal of Fire is quite bad. Nothing they have has exactly 2 toughness. Earthquake. Man, I can't believe they disenchanted my Sulfuric Vortex. I mean, Bolt's Incinerating Call to Herd tokens is just like not that big of a deal. Like, it's not great, but it's not a big deal. Stupid 11-11 Terravore. All right. We have basic lands. We have 3 lands. These are all good things. We have 1-drops. No pup. It's fine. Guess Rishon Port is pretty good against me. I was talking about how I didn't think Rishon Port was good against Burn, but now that I'm trying to cast Threaten, all of a sudden I feel like Rishon Port is super relevant. Funny how that happens, huh? Oh, now we drew 2 of 3 overloads. Come on, man. Come on. And I guess they were like Seal of Fires and Earthquakes, so I can't, like, I wouldn't have been like hyped to draw those, right? opponent correctly sorts of plowsharing the Mogg Fanatic. I, of course, have Grim Lavamancer to back up, so I'm pretty happy about that. Phyrexian Furnace. I'm going to overload that if they spend their other mana. Pretty relevant against my random Grim Lavamancer start, though, but happy to attack for 1. Ball Lightning? No, no Ball Lightning. It's never Ball Lightning. Dark Our Waste. Sylvan Library. Wide open. Can we get a Ball Lightning? Sulfuric Vortex will do. So I'm attacking first. If they Plowshares, I get to gain the 1 life. Go for the Sulfuric Vortex Windmill Slam. And then, yeah, even if they... So, granted, Sulfuric Vortex doesn't line up well against Ray of Revelation, right? Because, I mean, it's okay. Like, if I do 2 damage and they discard a card, it's kind of good. And but then all my future Sulfuric Vortex are going to be bad. But, you know. McLean opting for the Guru Basics on Magic Online. Love to see it. 3 mana for Call the Herd. So here's a question. Would you threaten this Call the Herd? Probably not. I get the damage right away, and I get the Lavamancer damage in, but just gonna play Mogg Fanatic and chill. And we actually get to kill this Elephant token in some worlds. Fetch. Little Incept Fetch, which is a leak. You never need to Incept Fetch in Premodern. You can always upkeep Fetch. Gotcha. And now I preserve the card in my graveyard. So I get a Mogg Fanatic activation and I get a Grim Lavamancer activation. So I can kind of either kill this Elephant token or see if I can just kill my opponent. My opponent is going down to 11 here. And at this point, Armageddon is like not the scariest thing. So kind of going to see what they do. If they attack, is that going to smell like... What would that be more likely to smell like? That they're just flashing back, in which case I can do 6 damage to them net with the Threaten. I can also just block with the Mogg Fanatic and then sort of like decide based on how they choose to take the rest of their turn. I'd be giving up 1 damage to them. But yeah, I mean, the Threaten only deals 3 damage. So let's say they flashback Elephant token. I threaten it. So I get in for 3 plus 6. I'd be 5 damage away from lethal. I'd have to draw exactly Fireblast though. I can afford to be patient. I might draw Earthquake. Drawing Earthquake's not that exciting. I've got my own battlefield going. I think I'll just do this. Like, I don't know if my opponent could have the Naturalize. I mean, I can also just soak up some of the damage from the Elephant token too, though. It's like not that big of a deal for me to take 3 for a turn. But if it is indeed the flashback, I might just like threaten for value, you know? I would hate to give away that I have Threaten available to me. I think if they Armageddon, if they go Elephant and then the next turn they Armageddon, I don't even think that's good for them. Smells like flashback. Okay, we'll finish off this Elephant. So now do I have to worry about Sylvan Safekeeper stopping my Threaten from creating another damage opportunity? There's like pros and cons. So the pro is that, so basically I was going to take a turn off activating Grim Lavamancer, so it made more sense to threaten here. My opponent could have been at 3 less life. I didn't add everything up, right? Because I would have gotten the extra Mogg Fanatic attack in too, so my opponent would have been at 1. I don't know what I thought they would be at, but they would have been at 1, so they would have just died to Bolt. So let's see what happens here. Red mana. Simoon, Pyroclasm. I'll take 2. I'll threaten again. I mean, it's not good against Disenchant this turn. Plow my own elephant to stay alive. Don't even gain the life from it. If they go Disenchant Plow, then I actually lose. But instead, this kind of worked out. All right, they've got 2 lands in graveyard. They have no Mox Diamonds in play. I think we can close this one out. They forgot to cast the Disenchant before plowing their own. Yep. Well, they would have been at virtual 7 there. You want to be at 7 there. Yep. It's not trinket text. Oh man, Treetop Village. I have to kill this stupid thing before it kills me. Oh, Curse Scroll. Oh my god. I guess if they Armageddon, they're Armageddon their own Treetop Village, so it's not a big deal. Village gets in. Should have killed them when I had the chance. We're going to go with Mountain. Missed. Now they know my hand. Sad. Earthquake. All right. Well, that's how you win a game. Activate and plow my own treetop. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Let's go. Oh man, what's the follow-up gonna be? Armageddon? Also, why are they playing out lands? It's like there's no reason for them to play out lands, right? It like makes me feel like they're less interested in Armageddoning. What are all my 3 drops? Just Sulfuric Vortex and Ball Lightning. There's like no card that I can draw here. Yeah, all right. I'll Fireblast you. All right, I would have beat them even if they had +3 life. So didn't end up mattering. You can rest easy, McLean. Okay, that was an interesting one. Earthquake for 4 was kind of random. They didn't appear to have any sideboard cards, which is also kind of random. 3 overloads kind of felt like they had no targets. TBH, the random Phyrexian Furnace does mean that they will So I thought it didn't matter, but actually it did matter, right? Because they don't have to animate and kill their own treetop against an Earthquake for 3. So then they would just attack. That'd be a lot different of an outcome. All right. Honestly, if I learned anything about Earthquake, it was that it kind of felt bad, but I guess I ran 1 copy. I mean, I would have just played so differently if I had an Earthquake in my hand or knew that it was in my range. I might have Mogg Fanatic my opponent, let them flash back the elephant, gone for the threatened line, or just gone for Earthquake for 3. Double threaten. I mean, I've got 2 lands. I've got Sulfuric Vortex. Those are all things that I'm generally happy about. Can you imagine Price of Progress that last game? Try not to think about it. Hopefully I don't get wastelanded. Okay. Okay. That is very powerful and aggressive. I can answer the first one, but the second one is going to be very good because I have a Jackal Pup in play. but I will threaten it a bunch, so maybe that's okay. I mean, the threaten's got to be really tasty, right? Like, I get in for 5. 5 might as well be 1,000. Oh, they go for the nothing? Bolt one time? Oh, interesting. Do it. Do it, McLean. Do it. No blocks. Coward. What's your plan? I almost don't want to, I don't really want to Vortex into the Disenchant this turn. Like, there's literally nothing else that they have going on. If they just, like, pass with 3 mana ups, like, what else could be in their hand? Just kind of feels like Disenchant. So I want my Vortex to get some damage in. And it also doesn't have Plowshares, right? So Grim Lavamancer feels good here. And also, I don't even have to play this Mishra's Factory. Although, well, I mean, Armageddon is really bad for them next turn. Yeah, attacking for 2 next turn with the Mishra Factory seems kind of good, especially if I bolt the Calder token. I could be talked into it. There's just no way they cast Armageddon to trade 3 lands for 3 lands while I have like such an awesome battlefield. Tough to say. Could get randomly wastelanded. Maybe their plan is to enlighten Tutor for warmth this turn, and then I'll be sad. No, it's a little nothing. Yeah, I think they're just holding up Disenchant that turn. Anyways, but this is what I mean when I say nothing beats burn. Oh no, Pyroclasm. No! No! I forgot. Oh boy. Oh, and they have the Disenchant up this turn too. Will I ever know peace? I suppose. My Master's Factory will get Plowshared. Oh, green. Oh, naturalize my Mishra's Factory. Mishra's Factory drawing fire away from Sulfuric Vortex, huh? Okay. I don't hate my spot. I've got threatens as soon as my 4th land shows up. Yeah, here's the flashback. I trade well against that. I also threaten against that. I think I might throw... If I draw a land, I'm using my threatens because my threatens deal mad damage. Okay, I need to play 23 lands in this deck, actually. People think that 22 is a lot. It's not a lot. I should be playing 24. Okay, this is the problem. I mean, is it a problem? So I just like don't animate Mishra's Factory? Is that right? Mishra's Factory's kind of owned me like 2 times already. It's back to the drawing board. It's like Barbarian Ring would have just sat there and cast a 3-drop. It would have gotten wastelanded all the same, but he didn't have wasteland. We've done like 0 damage with Mishra's Factories. I mean, come on. All right, I'll just play Grim Lavamancer and pass. I give up that I don't have a burn spell, but if he makes the read that he wants to trade Jackal Pup for a burn spell or Treetop Village for a burn spell, then I'm super cooked. It puts a land in the graveyard. I might think that's important. Blue Blast? I'll trade with the Blue Blast. I've got a lot of stuff that does much worse against Blue Blast than Grim Lavamancer. Oh, this is an Armageddon. Protecting the Treetop Village. Well, that's really good against my specific hand. Oh, that's actually really good. It's Armageddon. Sacrifice all my stuff to Zuranor. No, why don't I have an overload for the Mox Diamond? Oh my god. If I had Sulfuric Vortex in play, but the Mishra's Factory getting plowed was the reason I lost this game. Why? Make it stop. I don't even have a Fireblast. Ugh. It's okay. I can draw 3 lands. I've done it before. And then first, I'm going to start to remove my lands. Come on. What is this drawing Fireblast the turn after they Armageddon and stuff? Like, that's just rude, right? I mean, at least they have to leave the Treetop Village back to block. At least I have the bolt for the treetop village after they leave it to block. Okay, there's some good news. Most of it's bad news, but there's some good news. No plowshares. That's bad news. Draw a card. Okay, that was a very underwhelming Phyrexian Furnace. Oh, Call the Herd? Come on. Terravore. Also, come on. Okay, well, this stupid Russian port is going to preclude me from ever having what I need. I didn't draw. I didn't draw an overload for the Mox Diamond. I got my factory pooped on. Another Terravore? Well, that's just rude. Oh my god, I had all the threatens in the world and nowhere to put them. Don't let your Finisher's Factory get naturalized is the moral of the story. They have one card left in hand. They would have just naturalized the first Vortex, but then got by the second one. The second one would have stopped the Zern Orb. I would have been able to threaten Elephant Token or something. I don't know. Okay. Enough complaining. It was a nice close match. GG's. All right, 0-2 start with the best deck in Premodern. Miserable place to be, but it is all right. We are going to bounce back. Playing against Heart L. This is probably going to be the Burn Mirror. My deck is very bad in the Burn Mirror. But if he's playing Goblins, then I'm going to be stoked, of course. So, let's see what happens. Still going to have no fear in the Burn Mirror. Crack my fetch lands anyways. But yeah. Oh, Quicksand. He's playing mono blue. Well, I've got a blast to sell you. Just gonna play Curse Scroll and pass. Not gonna get my Grim Lavamancer quickie sanded. Should be a good game one for me. I basically don't have to chill is the only thing that I'm worried about. If I get tied, I'm never gonna play more than 3 lands, so I'm not gonna get tied out. Obviously, if I don't play more than 3 lands, I can get Force Spiked and Mana Leaked and stuff like that, but it's not the end of the world. I just need to be able to bounce back after a tied combo. And of course I can put a fair amount of pressure on, so let's see what I draw. Pup. Play the Pup. I think Grim Lavamancer is still more important than Jackal Pup, despite the fact that Jackal Pup doesn't ask as much of me in order for me to keep doing the damage. Heart is going to Impulse. 2 Quicksands. Powder Keg. Okay, well that's pretty disappointing, to be honest. Attack with Jackal Pup. At least I get in 2 damage. No activation here, Grim Lavamancer this turn. That's just how life works. Very Conclave, doesn't matter. Okay, explodes. Oh no, it got the Curse Scroll. Whoops. Gets artifacts too. Okay, now I lose. Another keg. That doesn't matter as much. Let's resolve something big. Like a Jackal Pup. I mean, I guess Jackal Pup and Mogg Fanatic are destined to trade with Quicksand all the same, but Mogg Fanatic can kill the Fairy Conclave, so big Fact or Fiction incoming. Oh, we got another Curse Scroll. Would you look at that? Blows the keg. Should we play Curse Scroll through Mana Leak, even though it exposes more lands to Tide? I think not. I think we'll just play Mogg Fanatic. And they might Mana Leak just because they're rich in Mana Leaks, in which case, whatever. Curse Scroll resolves. Interesting. AK1. Impulse. Get tided. Untap your Quicksands. Untap Quicksand and thing. Fireblast you. Fireblast gets in. All right, well. They get to bounce my Cursed Scroll if they want don't think they should. They return their Quicksand and Island. Price of Progress great against their deck, but also so is 6 Blast, so I'm going to be okay with it. I wonder if I should worry about this Fairy Conclave at all, question mark, by just holding up the Mogg Fanatic in case it ever starts to get frisky, but I think Mogg Fanatic for Quicksand is just like a fine trade here. But yeah, Quicksand is just really excellent, honestly. Kind of thought Stone Raining yourself would be bad, but turns out Stone Raining yourself is like not a big deal. I'd start getting frisky here. I feel like this is a bit aggressive if they're going to sink a Parallax Tide and Stifle into this play here. Like I would have waited till I had the second mountain, right? Because it just kind of gets a little bit more. But I guess if you attack for 2 then 4. Okay. Never mind. It works. Well, it doesn't work anymore. Well, they're just going to counter this Mogg Fanatic. Wait till they activate both in the same turn. If they don't have the land drop, get the Mogg Fanatic to resolve, then I can fight the Fairy Conclave, and then they just have to have the extra Stifle. But they did draw the island, so they have the counterspell up, which means that we just have to relax. Take 4 damage next turn, and then I'm going to pass again. So take 8 damage. I guess I'm dead. Get my Mogg Fanatic countered. They can take the last mountain, and then if I draw exactly Lightning Bolt, then I'll be able to like bolt a creature, maybe get through. Well, hopefully they don't have an AK here. I'm supposed to win game 1 though, chat. So I take another 4. Oh, Bloodstained Mire. Okay, wish I had that earlier. Unfortunately, my Incinerate's just going to get countered, and then nothing will really save me, but gotta play 2 or outs, right? Like, we could draw Bolt and then go Mogg Fanatic plus Bolt, and then I guess if they have extra Stifles. Or I can go Mogg Fanatic, and then if they don't have the Stifle at all, then I'll be in fine shape. I have 5 cards in hand. Certainly feels like they are saving up counters. Look at how few spells they cast this game. So my Curse Scrolls ended up just not really doing much, huh? Oh, Seal of Fire is a totally reasonable draw. Force Spike. All right, Seal of Fire doesn't save me anymore, but they had the mana link anyways. Double counter was never going to work. But let's go ahead and see if they have the Stifle. Oh, I did get the mountain back. All right. That was at least interesting. All right, so Earthquake is bad. It has literal 0 targets, but these are good. Mogg Salvage is actually weirdly has text because it can get a Mistress Factory. Curse Scroll's kind of hit or miss. I'm not always going to have the lands in play to activate it. I'm not always going to want to spend the mana to activate it. But it's one of the few cards I can cast under Chill, and Chill is a real concern. But the problem is they have Chill, then I can't empty my hand for Curse Scroll. So yeah, between getting tided, the fact that I'm going to be holding a lot of blasts, and the fact that I might be chilled and holding a lot of random cards, makes me feel like the Curse Scroll should go. Or I can just like do 1. Sulfuric Vortex is also bad if I get chilled. We kind of went through that. But it's totally fine in the matchup, right? Because I can plausibly just always stop them. So basically, Incinerate might be bad just because Mogg Salvage is better at killing man lands if I get tided. It's like Mogg Salvage is better, like all my burns going to man lands, right? And I'd rather have a free burn spell that kills man lands. Like sometimes I get a Powder Keg. Honestly, it's so fine. Kind of feel like they shouldn't even play Powder Keg post board. It's so like so thin, but I don't know. Let's start blasting, see what happens. Ball Lightning, of course, not good against Quicksand, so just forget it. All right, we got a pup. They blast the pup. Good news is we've got another pup. We got a mountain. All right. We're already moving into the phase of the game where we just chill and do nothing. Speaking of chill, another basic mountain, I guess is fine. Pretty sad our pup got blasted. They just have enough for the creatures. Man, this deck really is just about creatures. Makes me wonder. At least I've got the next 3 man lands covered. It's going to be a long game, by the way. 3 mana. Flash of Insight for 1. That's a Dreadnought move. It's also a interesting card to have post board against burn. It just takes so much mana. Like, it's asking so much from you, but maybe it's fine. Well, we got the second Fireblast. In case anybody was worried. I wonder if I should have played the Barbarian Ring just because I could play Blast with Mana Leak backup. They're being pretty liberal with their Blast. Meanwhile, up to 6 lands here. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be a long one. We get Mogg Fanatic. Third Blast. Or third Blast, yeah. Oh, geez, they mean business too. Are we playing the 6 Blast Mirror? Do they just play Blast instead of Chills? I mean, if it's going to be a long game, then once they cast the Flash of Insight for X equals infinity, then the game's over. So it's kind of funny. Oh. Never mind a double blast. Fairy Conclave is never surviving. Sulfuric Vortex, huh? Just going to wait on that until, I don't know, maybe he goes for the he goes for the Tide turn, and then I can go Blast. Flash of Insight, Exile, Flashback doesn't really scare me. This is like a hilarious defensive draw because it just means that all the man lands are dying forever. Blasting AKs for 3, blasting Factor Fictions. Oh, we're getting massive card selection here. Okay. Just decided he's sick of seeing all these Seal of Fire on the battlefield. Decided that he'll trade for 1. He's just holding 3 Stifles. Be kind of funny. Decided he's not doing anything else except for being flooded, so I can respect that. Mishra's Factory, Powder Keg, yeah. Keg not really concerning me. It's Pup. Well, now Keg concerns me slightly. So getting my Blast Force spiked is like the same thing as getting my Barbarian Ring picked up by the Parallax Tide, I think. Second Powder Keg. First one kills the pup. Going to hand size here. Oh, third Fireblast. Maybe I should board out 1 Fireblast. If we're going to play 1,000 turns, I guess I'll just play this Barbarian Ring. AK for 2. Not enough for me to care. Goes for Parallax Tide. Doesn't have enough blue mana to crack this Tide through well, he does if he has Mana Leak, Blast, Stifle, right? So that's pretty good. Hydro Blast, okay. So is going to obviously like pass priority with each activation. I should just use the Barbarian Ring, I think. Use the Fireblast. All right. Also playing 5 blasts at least. So I might just be playing 8 blasts. So I'm playing 6 blasts. He's playing at least 5. I have stopped this Parallax Tide from doing any greater than 1 land. Oh my god, he has 3 Stifles in hand. Need my Mogg Salvages to show up. No, just 1 Stifle. 1 Stifle isn't enough for me to care. Well, the blue player has 2 cards in hand, and I have 6. So who's really winning? Look at all these cards that do nothing. Factor Fiction, some Chain of Vapors, and some Mishra's Factory. You have Mishra's Factory, Island. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. These Chain of Vapors are basically blank too. And Chain of Vapor plus Mishra. Does Chain of Vapor do anything in this matchup besides set up Tide? No, right? I mean, I guess if you have a double Chain of Vapor, that means you can have like double Tide in your future. It's like pretty good. I mean, I guess Impulse to set up the second Tide combo isn't good. And then also if he has Tide combo again, then this Mishra's Factory is really excellent. So I actually do just want to isolate the Mishra's Factory because I just like don't want him to have like, if he puts the Mishra's Factory in the graveyard, then like he loses a threat out of his deck. I've already dealt with a few of them. Yeah, he's forced to take the Mishra's Factory. That's how good. It's like, what am I going to do with these Chain of Vapors? They're practically useless. All right. What if I just bolt this? I mean, it's going to eat a Force Spike, but so is Sulfuric Vortex. Like, so is every other spell in my deck. I'm not really in a play around Sulfuric Vortex part of the, or play around Force Spike stage of the game. Okay, there's the 6th blast. my guy literally has just 8 blasts in his sideboard. Be like, let's compare sideboards after this. Be like, it's only blasts. All right, this is the plan. Huh. That second Tide was kind of annoying. Let's see if we get one of these mountains back. And we're going to want our Incinerates back. It seems like this is actually the deal. Like, this is just going to be about me killing manlands. I really wish I could just board into more lands. Oh, there's the second Mishra's Factory. All right. Getting a little dicey here. Yeah, I should have boarded out the Vortex, right? I'm just like, never have 3 mana. I mean, I guess I could have put one into play like 7 turns ago and then done a lot of damage with one. What's the play here? Do I play fetch land? So the problem with playing Mishra's Factory is it just takes a counter off Tide, but maybe taking a counter off Tide is fine. I could blast the Stifle, get my Mishra's Factory back, be able to block with it if I draw Blast. I think that's the plan. But if I do want to blast the Stifle, do I want to have more turns to draw Blast? I mean, Mishra's Factory is going to shorten the clock. Actually kind of basically ends up being in the same place. So I'm going to have to protect my last red source because I want Blast to be an out. And interesting spot. Couldn't really figure that one out. Oh, the AK for 3. Then okay. Well, now we just lose. No, we had 6 blasts and our opponent had at least 6 blasts also. I'm actually like literally almost at the point where they're milled, right? I dealt with two creature lands. Oh boy. What are we doing? I mean, we're just so dead to just like everything. Just take 4 again, play Grim Lavamancer, get Grim Lavamancer countered. We can't play around everything now, right? So we have to play around something. They've only cast 1 Stifle. Kind of feels like Stifle is like the card that they have. All right, we're playing to top deck Bolt or something. I don't know. I mean, we'll get a Mishra's Factory block next turn, of course. Only if we're lucky. I mean, at least it's not a spell that they can counter now that they have 7 cards in hand. They've cast like 0 counterspell Mana Leak. Did they just change all the counterspells in Mana Leak for Blast? Plausible. Bloodstained Mire, huh? That is not of interest to me right now. I'm going to Fireblast a Mishra's Factory if it comes down to it. But yeah, now they just have an excess of Stifles, so they can just stifle me for life. There's the one stifle. See if they have another one. They do. Now they hit me for 4 and I'm super locked, right? Because I can't draw anything. No, I got blasted 6 times. 0-3 start with the best deck in Premodern. You've betrayed me. I paired against 3 great matchups. They're not as good as I say they are. All right, 0-3 start. We got blasted. We got Geddened. We got chilled. We got worshipped. Surely things can only go up from here. We're on the play against Nick. Nick is a Dreadnought sicko. This isn't the best Dreadnought hand that I've ever had, but sometimes you take what you can get. All right, so we're going to start on Pup. And I'm just going to keep the Earthquake because Earthquake is more likely to deal more damage in a game against Dreadnought than Curse Scroll. Probably not. Curse Scroll is 1 mana. I'm going to cast it on turn 2. All right, we got a Pup. And if we get 2 more creatures, then this is like about as good of a game 1 hand as you can hope for against Dreadnought. It'll be funny if he chooses not to play Dreadnought. It'll also be funny if I manage to hand him a loss. Just like lose to all this like random stuff. I want to note a few things. I don't think any cards on my sideboard would have changed the outcome of the last 3 matchups. Oh, Blooded Strand. Already not looking like Dreadnought cards are happening. Pup's going to get in. Fetch. We're going to play a Grim Lavamancer. Play a Pup. See if this is Dreadnought with fetch lands. Blue-white Dreadnought experimentation. Nick won Eternal Weekend 2 years ago with blue-white Dreadnought, or just a fun deck. Has the Swords of Plowshares. Not a lot of copies in the main deck of blue-white Dreadnought there. Yeah. No Meddling Mage. I think I'm going to attack with this Grim Lavamancer while there's no other things on the battlefield. I'll play the Cursed Scroll. Lots of white lands in this deck. He does line up the Seal of Cleansing against the Cursed Scroll. All right, because Wrath of God. Well, now I'm just going to cast Incinerate on his end step. I was going to like maybe activate Grim Lavamancer this turn, but because he's capable of casting Wrath of God, I'd get 1 extra damage, but I drew the Incinerate, which means I'm just going to cast Incinerate. Seems like he's not that interested in giving me targets. Gonna keep attacking. All right, my opponent has cast 2 cards this game. This is probably just Tide Combo. It's the only deck that runs 2 planes and Seal Cleansing and main deck Stifle, right? I mean, who's got free counter spells, right? Just a little turn 5 kill from the good guys. All right, blue-white cards. Probably don't need Earthquakes. I mean, if I assume it's tied, then I just have to play Maximum Blast, and there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ball Lightning. Yeah. We talked earlier about how Vortex is just too tricky with the land situation. If it's different now that they have white cards, they can be playing Warmth. If they're playing Circle Protection, Vortex isn't good. Let's just take out some mopey Seal of Fire action, right? And then we're already sort of over sideboarding by having 6 Red Blast. Although, apparently I'm not the only blast believer. I got Heart L from the last match against Tide a little bit mixed up with other players, I think. I know that he'd actually been playing Tide recently. But anyways, that was a good match to... That last match was a good match to showcase the Burn versus Tide matchup, where Tied actually pretty ahead, unless Burn kind of gets good stuff going, but can get blasted out of this universe. This is not a great hand against a control style deck, but we take them anyways. It's not really a deck that mulligans, so double pup. Okay. Now I'm happy. I mean, not happy if the immediate follow-up is going to be chill, but well, it's going to be like a Replenish control deck that plays Skycloud Expanse. It's not a card that I see too often. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. They mulligan to their sideboard cards. We're going to be able to cast 3 mana Jackal Pups. They have so much white mana. Look at all this white mana. I've never seen a deck with so much white mana. Tide control deck. Plays 1,000 planes. How are you ever going to cast 2 counterspells in one turn? Intuition for AK. Ooh. I can get behind that. It's one way to undo a mulligan, that's for sure. It's crazy. If I draw Red Blast, I would almost Red Blast the AK sooner than I Red Blast the Chill, but I have to Red Blast the Chill because I've got a bunch of Incinerates in. I guess I can start casting Incinerates next turn. Oh, okay. They're just playing Replenish control. Actually, they're just playing Replenish, huh? Well, in a Born sideboard that wasn't playing 6 copies of Blue Blast, you might have some number of Tormod's Crypts. Alas, we do not have such luxuries. We have another Frantic Search. Smells like it. I am not impressed by this. Why did I not think that they could possibly be playing Replenish? Like, I was like, oh, they're just playing blue-white control. Well, I guess they don't have the Stifle, but if they go after my lands with Parallax Tide, I'll have the Fireblast available, at least, that I want to cast. Thinking about taking stuff away from me. Guess that cuts me off Blue Blast, which is or Red Blast, which is totally reasonable. All right, one more turn to find that Stifle you were looking for, or else. Pretty silly of me to forget that Replenish is like a deck that exists, though. That's some classic me action. Flooding out, just gonna cast another Replenish. Just gonna cast a Parallax Wave. Okay. That doesn't scare me on its own. So we have 10 damage and burn in our hand. Guess we were looking to draw another. I don't think it's Opalescence, right? Like, I guess even if it is, no, we really want to cast double Grim Lavamancer because we will start activating them immediately. Well, actually, that's dumb because they're just going to be Parallax Waved. But no big deal. And I wanted to hold back the land. Well, basically, I would have had 2 options. Cast double Incinerate. Obviously, Opalescence poops on me here. But I got the damage in, so Opalescence would just poop on me no matter what. But yeah, I should have held back because I could draw some bolts here and good stuff like that. Or I should have got at least 1 instant out of my hand. Actually, don't mind this Red Blast. Lets me stop bad things from happening to me. But yeah, now all my damage has to come from burn spells instead of creatures over the next 6 turns. And funnily enough, an Earthquake would have helped me. I'm blasting this even though... I'm blasting this because it could find Replenish, and then if it found Replenish, then I'd be in big trouble. Seal of Cleansing for that extra damage. Okay. Is it crazy that I kind of want Earthquake here? So now they have a 3-turn clock. I have them at 2 burn spells to win. So this is like literally a race. That doesn't help. I mean, if you think about it, Earthquake is, well, if you think about it, Earthquake would just win the game. But I had the Seal of Fires in because I thought they were a control deck and they'd somehow have Mishra's Factory ever. But of course they don't. They're not a... I can top deck Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt. No. That's enough for me. Just needed to draw Bloodstained Mire. Right. Yeah, let's just play Earthquake. I still need to kind of deal damage to them quickly. Yeah, I hate this spot, right? Because it's just hard for me to deal enough damage if I'm like playing whack-a-mole. I'm trying not to get tided. I'm trying to stop intuition and all this nonsense. It feels like it's actually somehow an up battle, but on the other hand, they do like 1,000 damage to themselves. Okay, what do I want to do? I want to be able to maximize my potential damage. So I don't want to take too much damage out of my deck. Seal of Fire doesn't do that much damage, so it's fine to take out, but everything else has a lot more potential damage. Then Bolt Lightning, it's just too bad against Chill, but you know, so is Earthquake. Okay, I don't think I'm hurting my deck too much by taking out 4 Seal of Fire, 1 Earthquake, and 1 Ball Lightning for good insurance against Tide and Chill. Yeah, and then my deck does this to me. All right, burn. Somehow this deck feels worse than Elves. Oh my god, hopefully the top deck still over some heat. My first draw needs to be a Blast. And then my next draw needs to be like somehow also good. All right. Nowhere for this to go besides face. And nowhere for this to go besides the battlefield. If you blue blast this, fair, I guess. It's fair. Oh, and null. I guess you can pitch it if you ever need to. I mean, a null in that spot would have been just as good as Mana Leak. So, whatever. Yeah, the Seal of Cleansing deck really doesn't want to play this card, but the problem with Seal of Cleansing is it doesn't answer Tide, so I can see why you have this, but it just makes me not want to play the deck, basically. Be like, I would prefer just not to play Replenish than have a null and Replenish, but you know, Seal Cleansing, not like the biggest deal. Intuition. Clutch Intuition. It's going to set them up for the kill through Blue Blast or Red Blast. And then I'm going to 0-4 with Burn. I was 3-1 at the local meetup with Burn. I turn around and I start 0-3, soon to be 0-4. I guess this truly is the end of an era. Oh, that's interesting. But if I have Blast now, they're like kind of live. And I have 4 lands in play. I can sort of cast all my stuff. Oh, I mean, they're at 16. I think if they just like did the parallax stuff, they would have been fine. All right, you have a lot of chill. Like if they just did 1 of each last turn. Yeah, this stupid button doesn't work. If they just did 1 of each last turn, they would have had, you know, I would have given them, you know, whatever. Then they just do whichever pile contains Parallax Tide, and then they would have cast the last one and then won the game. I mean, I guess this one gets through Blue Blast really well. All right, just have to cast this 7 mana Blue Blast. Intuition for triple chill. That's the first time I've ever seen that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's okay. I shouldn't have bought him that extra land. Oh, now you show up. Not that it matters. I'll get to 7 mana to Red Blast one of the chills. Then 8 mana to cast my double Fireblast. I mean, Mishra's Factory is great here, right? Mishra's Factory probably just gets Sword Splash here, though. Oh, there's 2 Sword Splashers in the graveyard. Oh my god. The chills are getting in. But I can also start bolting them. I think this is a mistake, honestly. I mean, not if they have Opalescence next turn. Not Opalescence, but whatever. Parallax Wave. Come on, dealer. Yeah, this is how we do it. Okay, now I only need to pay 5 mana to blast the next one. So as long as they don't have... Oh, this is sweet. I mean, surely they just draw Parallax Wave eventually, but it's okay. Oh, they don't even cast Attunement? Interesting. The fear. Okay, if I win this game, though, then it will have been due to the blundered intuition, I would say. Swords to Plowshare is my own chill. I mean, I guess they can always just draw Replenish later and then they're in happy shape. Seal of Cleansing. Seal of Cleansing, targeting that. I gotta Fireblast this chill, right? So that I can play 3 creatures and just like get moving. Yeah, I think so. Because as soon as they get Parallax Wave, I'm just not in a place that I want to be. But they can draw dead. They can draw dead. Like this entombment can miss. Or the entombment's already been discarded. It's like places 27 lands. It's fine. No, don't Parallax Wave me. Just don't. Like, I don't deserve to be Parallax Waved. Okay, the window has opened. Curse Scroll targeting chill has opened the window. Stifle? I guess blasting the Stifle. Plowshares. I am slowly losing the amount of pressure I need. Okay, it's just attunement. So we can actually kill this attunement right now. Yeah, I think trading Jackal Pup for attunement here is fine. No blocks. Okay, take a spin. Just need a Parallax Tide, Parallax Wave, and of course Parallax Tide, Parallax Wave, and Replenish. I mean, Replenish is just enough. It brings back 2 chills, and then enough power onto the battlefield. So I think this is the turn to spin attunement and pray that you hit Replenish. You've had 4 total looks. Well, 3 total looks out of 35. 3 copies remaining. Yeah, I mean, I normally shit on the card attunement, but I'd rather have attunement in this spot than basic island. Does the 3 damage matter? So if I do 2 damage to face, 4 damage to the attack. The attunement gets to untap though, so the problem is the attunement gets to untap and he'll just replay the attunement. So I should go 4 to face because I still want Bolt to win, Bolt Shock to win, Bolt Shock Mogg Fanatic all win. Basically, the way this works is that I can actually Grim Lavamancer the attunement, then block with Jackal Pup. Then he can't buy the attunement back and kill the Jackal Pup at the same time. And I know he wants to activate the attunement this turn, but the problem is he'll just activate the attunement and then I'll have lost 2 damage. So me losing 2 damage matters, right? Because I'm going to do 2 to him down to 9. I could do 2 to him down to 9. He'll take 2 from attacks down to 7. Take another 2 from attacks down to 5, and then it makes Mogg Fanatic. It gives me a lot more live outs. So I just have to let this happen. It makes Mogg Fanatic an out. I don't know. Maybe he'll just draw Replenish, but he didn't start discarding cards immediately, so yeah, just drew a null. Okay, I think we're in the clear here. We have a lot of outs to win, and we also force the attunement to block this turn, so he'll have one out to lose. Let me just make sure I don't have actual lethal. So I get in for 2 + 4. So he has to block now. I'm 1 off lethal. So we'll just kill the attunement so he doesn't get 3 more looks at Replenish. And also we technically can still beat an Opalescence top deck because we'll be able to Fireblast one of the Opalescences. The only top deck that I don't want is P-Wave, and even P-Wave I can defeat. Okay, is it Plowshares? Is it Stifle? This one really came down to the wire. There was 3 chills on the battle. Oh, I need to remember to put the upkeep stop back. Burn gets 1 match win. Intuition for triple chill. Yeah, I think you just get Parallax Enchantments, right? Because after that, I mean, if I'm holding the blast, then it's much better. And he was obviously playing around blast, right? But if I'm holding the blast, then it's a lot worse because I give him Parallax Tide. Well, no, it's not even that good, right? So I give him Parallax Tide. He casts Parallax Tide. I blast it. Then he casts Replenish, and I lose on the spot, right? I think the chill line was too fancy. And then, of course, if you are going to have the chill line, then you don't want to run out the random Opalescence because I might be able to curse scroll targeting chill. But other than that, extremely wild game. Glad we pulled at least 1 win. But I think after watching that, I mean, game 1 was so good for me. But it wasn't necessarily always going to be good for me, right? He just had a non-functioning hand. I'll say it's a close matchup. All right. Trying to take control back of this lead, and we're up against Fran. Fran, in many ways, has our number in league play, but Fran and I will test every now and then, and I will often play Burn against the sort of green survival of the fittest decks that he likes to cook, and normally Sulfuric Vortex is good against him, so we'll see. Instead, he's just playing a black deck. Oh, instead he's playing a great matchup for the good guys here, especially with a start like this. Unless he has Contagion or I don't know, the Dreams card that does Dreams damage, done 1 damage to everything. Funeral Charms could serve him some good. I wonder if this is a donation deck. I feel like Fran hasn't talked about or cooked that many black decks. Serve. Just a smother is fine. I'm going to play a Mogg Fanatic. And yeah, probably just feels like we're just going to kill him. That's going to die. Not really concerned about the rack damage here. Oh man, we're just drawing cards that let us to unload our hand, and we have 4 power on the battlefield. Seems good. And Fran does not have any random discard here to help him out, so seems like a tough spot. I guess I should maybe have played the mountain. All right, he's just dead. He's just dead. Sometimes I don't even pay that much attention to my opponent's life total, and then I realize they're just dead. Anyways, not much Fran's gonna do there. I guess Earthquake is just boarded out every game. It's really dumb just to play overloads for racks and Mishra's factories, but the thing is, if Fran doesn't have the rack, then I just kill all the creatures. Like, Rag and Mistress Factory is the only way to deal damage to me, so nothing to threaten here. I mean, Earthquake still deals damage, huh? Yeah, I think Fran also has Curse Scroll, which is going to be really good against me. Not a great hand for the matchup, but still keep. Vortex is really good if I can get it on. Little first turn rack. Oh yeah, and you also just can't mulligan against the deck that contains the rack. Ravenous Rats. Ravenous Rats is really excellent here. Just got a 2-for-1. Pretty clean and fair. I mean, I'm glad I drew the Mogg Fanatic so I didn't have to use Lightning Bolt. What's the deal? One of these is Summoning Sick. So can activate this one, pump itself again. And this makes it so that it's just better for me that he didn't spend his mana this turn. Wasteland. It's pretty good against Mishra's Factory. Let's see if he gets frisky. There's the Curse Scroll and a second copy of the rack. Okay. The race is on, my friend. I've got 7 damage of haste from my hand. But now I can't play anything. Funeral Charm, huh? Yeah, I'm going to bolt to Mishra's Factory, so I'm not going to play a Curse Scroll or anything here. Phyrexian Furnace is not really something I'm too concerned about. Second Curse Scroll. Second Curse Scroll seems like it was worse than just attacking there. Well, he just doesn't want to attack into like the super obvious lightning bolt that I have, right? Okay, well now I have 9 damage from hand, so I just need 1 more damage. So I could just put him dead to everything, dead to the world. So it's 1, 2, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Dead to the world. But if I go Mountain Curse Scroll Bolt, I take 4 damage from the rack. Huh. Also, if he has Funeral Charm, it's pretty bad for me. Let's be patient. We're at 15. Fran getting multiple of the rack triggers is going to be the only way that we lose this game, I think. Because the thing is, Curse Scroll and Mishra's Factory do the same amount of damage. Chain of Smog. So now we'll take 2 damage, but... Okay, so we had 9 from hand. Let's just Seal of Fire this. Yeah, because we'll just draw another Seal of Fire. Yeah, and then that sealed it up. All right. Can't draw multiple Curse Scroll. Can't really draw anything. Just I put like way too much pressure on. Seal of Fire. Get him. Bolt him. Fireblast him. And GG him. Anyway, Sulfuric Vortex did 1,000 damage that game. Just saying. But not even just if you want to play Pit Rack, you lose to burn. It's just what happens. Wish I could say anything more about that, but that's just how it goes. Right. Final match versus Abar. Yes, I would like to play first. Have we won every single flip? Yeah, I feel like we win every single flip. Although we wouldn't mind being on the draw here. Well, hopefully my opponent's playing a deck with creatures of 2 toughness. This hand becomes amazing. Jackal Pup go. Oh no. Oh no. Well, they did nothing, so maybe it's Goblins. And I did also... I mean, 2 Seal of Fire is really good against burn. But this Lightning Bolt is going to... Oh, thank God it's Goblins. Oh my God, thank God it's Goblins. Oh man. Oh man. Imagine if it wasn't Goblins. Oh boy. I also drew the land too. Just like literally could not be better than it being goblins and me drawing a land. And I'm on the... No, wait, it's mud. No, it's Ancient Tomb Goblins. No, are they going to correctly not get Goblin Ringleader? I mean, Ancient Tomb Goblins is great for me. Don't get me wrong. I also have an Earthquake in my hand, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because, you know, what are you going to do? But also, you're not going to be able to do anything. Anyways, we're going to get in with Mr. Pup. The Seal of Fire, of course, dealing the same amount of damage as the Pup would. Oh my god, red-green. Oh my god, more Ancient Tomb damage. Yeah, it's on blocking duty. Probably Bolt Face here. I have a lot of mana. Mana to use, rather. They discard the Goblin Lackey, huh? Interesting. What could happen? Nothing really, right? They just go Goblin Warchief. I mean, I'm like thinking about saving the Seal of Fire for Goblin Warchief, but it's like if they cast Goblin Warchief, they have to block. I guess they could cast Siege Gang Commander, and then that'd be annoying. 7. Interesting. I mean, if it's Siege Gang Commander, these Jackal Pups are going to be so bad. I have to like Earthquake for 1. I could also just not play the Jackal Pup until I Earthquake. I could also just pass. I could play Jackal Pup and pass. And I guess all of these things are kind of interesting. I mean, Siege Gang Commander, they go down to 7, they go down to 5. I just don't have to worry about anything. Like, I don't have to do anything like that's like too reckless, like Earthquake 2 of my own Jackal Pups away. Like, none of that's necessary. Like, I can just have 1 Jackal Pup in play and accomplish mostly the same thing. And then if it's like Siege Gang, then, you know, it's just Lackey, then I don't really care. Pile Driver, Lackey Pile Driver. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so Mountain. Could just play Sulfuric Vortex. Play the Ball Lightning now. Oh wow, they're just gonna trade the Goblin Pile Driver for life points, which of course is totally reasonable. I just didn't see that happening in my mind's eye, because I was just like, oh, what are you gonna do? But yeah, this Ancient Tomb got tapped twice, just like a lot of times to tap an Ancient Tomb. I board these out, of course, in this matchup. Would sooner play this Carplus. Oh wait, that's not in their hand. They got revealed off Ringleader. All right, a land or like anything wins. Fireblast would be the easiest. I guess I reveal that I'm playing Earthquake, huh? All right, no changes. Maybe I'll threaten oh my god. Turn 1 Mogg Fanatic, turn 3 threaten your Goblin Pile Driver. I mean, threaten is like almost totally reasonable for me to just be like, grab a guy and get my other guys to attack through. Like if they play Goblin Mishra and I can threaten the gun, this is all ridiculous. It's like all completely insane for me to say. Threaten. I'm so sure. Oh no. Deck. I didn't put all the lands for you to just give them to me right away. Huh. So the problem is, if I ever cast the Sulfuric Vortex, I have to have all of the removal that I can possibly draw. There's the Lackey, a nice little one R discarded card targeting me. Ooh, a port. Pretty good against Sulfuric Vortex. Luckily, we are very well practiced for this spot. Oh, Ancient Tomb. Like I said, I sideboard them out. Okay. That's interesting. I think that the fact that it dealt 2 damage to them is probably, I mean, I don't know. They just don't have any red mana. If that port was a mountain, life would be like a lot scarier for me. But instead I get to untap, I get to jam the Vortex, and like I'm not very likely to have a lot of goblins facing me next turn. And then even if I do have a lot of goblins facing me next turn, they'll probably like be tapping Ancient Tomb to do it. So they got their speed card draw situation going. They'll have a Mogg Fanatic, which is good for them, but like I can continue playing my game, and the fact that they don't have red mana to like really deploy to the board, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to navigate. Although they are drawing some of the perfect goblins, but I have 10 damage in hand. So I think we're just going to ignore this Siege Gang Commander. Okay, yeah, we are. 1, 2. The Barbarian Ring sealed the deal. Well, the Mishra's Factory would have been a cool draw there. All right, I'll take 5. It's a lot of damage to take, but I just got so ahead, and they tapped Ancient Tomb a lot. Mogg Fanatic, yep. Nothing else. Not a single other damage was damaged. I assumed that I was going to have Threshold, but I actually have exactly Threshold. There's no way they can deal 11 damage to me. I might as well take my draw step in case I have like the case burn spell, like the weird backup necessary burn spell to kill them in case they could start fireblasting me. Yeah, it's a little bit easier against Ancient Tomb goblins. Ringleader Siege Gang was definitely a cool thing. So, but yeah, we take it back. We finished through 3. Can't be too sad about that. And that's a wrap on new take on Burn. Didn't play against Dreadnought, but it's always good to still make sure that you retained your edge in the other matchups if you are going to play a completely ridiculous sideboard like this one. And my conclusion is meh. I think Ball Lightning is a much better card to have in your main deck than Earthquake. I mean, we played against Terrageddon where Ball Lightning would have been a bit better. Notably, I am starting to uncover a little bit of like the root cause of the difficulty in the Terragon matchup. You can't just go burn them because, you know, they can just gain a random point of life and then you're just like screwed, right? So they can just Swords of Plowshares their own thing. So then your plan becomes about playing these high mana cards, like assuming that these are Ball Lightnings. And so when you make your game plan about this, all of a sudden Rishon Port Armageddon really ruins your day. I'm like sitting here, I've got like that. I'm sideboarding like this. I've got all these. Well, I wouldn't have these, but anyways, I've got all this stuff. Sorcery speed, 3 mana stuff that if I get Armageddon or just poured it down, I can't really operate. And I could have taken some different lines in the first 2 games or the first 2 matches, definitely against Grotog in that game too. I watched it back and I could have just gone for casting that second Fireblast. And then if I like draw a mountain, I'm good. Instead, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll probably just draw another burn spell, but they can untap and then they can counter, right? So I should have probably thought that spot through a little bit more aggressively. I was maybe caught off guard because I figured if they were going to counter Fireblast, they'd counter the second one, not the first one. Yeah, I'm sure I made other mistakes. Honestly, I was kind of playing a little bit on autopilot. I had kind of a headache this week, and you shouldn't actually play Burn on autopilot. You should think about every spot, the maximum amount. There's not too much to think about, but you still need to identify all the considerations. And I just like wasn't playing as sharp because I'm sort of used to the deck telling me what to do. And I wasn't planning around my top decks as much, and that's kind of like something that you just have to do, right? So like, you know, I should have just realized there's a few surprises, like in Enlightened Tutor Worship, Nimble Mongoose, after seeing none of that game one against the Grotog deck, is definitely you know, whatever. And then yeah, against Terravore, I ran a Barbarian Ring into Wasteland instead of Mishra's Factory, and Barbarian Ring was of course my like third red source for Ball Lightning. I wasn't really thinking straight there. I figured maybe they don't Wasteland it, and then I play the Ball Lightning the next turn, but of course they Wasteland it, and then I just never had 3 red for Ball Lightning, and then I never had lands again. Might have lost that game anyways, but kind of like a weird sort of sequencing error. I was thinking of holding Lightning Bolts up that turn too, but and then like maybe that spot where I double Lightning Bolt the Terravore, I could like sit back and try to figure out if I can just not play around Armageddon and then just decide to race the Terravore with my Lightning Bolts instead of kill it. But killing it felt safer. My opponent had 1 card in hand. It was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to just like outright lose to Armageddon here when I can probably win if I double bolt this Terravore. Played against 2 Mox Diamond decks, had to decide if I was in the business of overloading and Mogg Salvaging Mox Diamonds. I still haven't decided if I'm sure. You kind of have to decide if it's better to try to set your opponent back a few turns or to do, you know, deal 2 or 3 damage. It's close. I think it might be good to go after Mox Diamonds. But it's tough because it depends on your opponent's draw, right? Like their Mox Diamonds aren't going to matter if like they just cast, like sure you 2 for 1 them against like a couple mana sources, but some of the stuff they cast, you know, might just already be there, like a chill, or you know, obviously a chill is just indifferent if you blow up Mox Diamonds, and the questioning whether I was going to hit Powder Keg or Mishra's Factory in Blue Tide was an interesting one. At the end of the day, I think hitting Mishra's Factory was kind of worth it to have Mogg Salvage, just because, as you saw in the second game against Tide, stopping them from having any manland offense is like super important, right? Because they're trying to tide you and have enough power on the board to like double tide you and keep you off lands for them to get enough attacks in. So if you have access to the maximum ways like Seal of Fire, like a random Mogg Fanatic in play, et cetera, to just like stop them from attacking with you with manlands, you only have to kill 8 creatures. Like that's the wild part. You only have to kill 8 creatures out of the Parallax Tide deck, and then they just lose. They lose to decking, and you have 1,000 burn spells. So it's not impossible. It's improbable. It felt like my Mono Blue Tide opponent had 8 Blue Blast coming out of his sideboard because he cast 6 of them. He had 20 cards left, or 15 cards left in library by the end of it, though. So maybe he really just boarded 6 and he drew them all in the top 45. You know, GG's. Like I brought my blast and he brought his blast too. And at the end of the day, the deck that draws cards is going to see more blast than the deck that doesn't draw cards. So have to kind of reconceptualize if what Burn has to do in the Tide matchup. Because, you know, a lot of the things that the Tide matchup is doing is pretty strong. And I think just having 2 more red blasts is not really the difference maker. That Replenish matchup felt pretty typical. It's just like, if they don't do their thing, then they lose. If they do their thing, then you lose. And my deck is going to be slightly more vulnerable because I have more creatures. So the Opal Wave combo gets me. I have like more creatures and more enchantments, right? So Opal Wave just really rocks this. Although entertainingly, if Earthquake for 4 does answer Opal Wave, costs a lot of mana, but it works. So kind of an interesting one. Pit Rack is a buy, of course, and Goblins, as we have demonstrated again and again, is a good matchup, especially if they have Ancient Tomb. But yeah, you know, got to take a little bit of a chill pill in the intro. I was saying that, you know, I'm going to feel great against Grotog. I lost. Maybe I could have won if I played better. I feel good against Terrageddon. Like, I'm not going to like go into Terrageddon matchup fearing Terrageddon, especially if I have 3 threat in the sideboard. And, you know, that match made me think that maybe I need 24 lands in my deck. And then against Mono Blue Tide, I figured this was going to be enough. And of course, as you saw, it was not enough. And so where does that leave us on Burn? Well, I don't like losing matches of Magic. When I play decks like Dreadnought, and even when I play decks that aren't as good as Dreadnought, like Grotog, or when I play, Replenish, or even Goblins to some extent, although, again, Goblins and Burn, not feeling as good. Elves, not feeling as good. I haven't played any Black-Green Survival, so I don't know. Can't say I love the feel of the Terragon matches that I have played, but that's just kind of how mid-range decks feel. It's really hard to play a mid-range deck that feels oppressive, right? But yeah, the reason I chose Burn was because I played it in a meetup. I was doing great, and I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot how powerful this deck is. And then played those first 3 matches. I'm like, man, I forgot how helpless this deck feels at times. So really, really tough to say. I think that, if you tried to think logically about this, you would have to assume that this sideboard even works against Dreadnought. That's not a given. Maybe I'll get a chance to test that with a willing partner in a future video. So let's assume that you can fix the Dreadnought matchup. Okay. Then you kind of go into all these creature decks where, maybe your Earthquake is really live. Again, I feel good against Red-Green Survival. Not Red-Green Survival, but Green-Black Survival. So maybe we put that into one column. But then maybe we say okay, there's some reason to that Terravore data. McLean didn't really beat me with sideboard cards at Zernor, that random Zernor spot. He just had Armageddon. So that was the thing that ended my career, right? It helped that he had Zernor, but it wasn't a huge difference. So, I really do have to accept that. Okay, well, just casting Armageddon and then casting Terravore afterwards is pretty good. Maybe I just need to hope I draw, maybe I really just need to overload Mox Diamonds to make sure that that's less likely to happen to me, and play more lands. Do I lose a lot of points in other matchups if I play more lands? Can't be sure, because this start has felt so tight. The only spots that I'm looking to trim are over here, and then we'll lose our Dreadnought sideboard. So I'm not really sure what I would do. I mean, 2 more lands seems crazy, but just 1 more land, maybe this last Ball Lightning clinging for its life can just turn into Mishra's Factory, or maybe we'll just play 2 Ball Lightning. So we'll play 24 lands, and we'll play 3 Mishra's Factory, 3 Barbarian Ring. Doesn't sound too crazy. And then Earthquake, we don't need Earthquake. We can get the job done without Earthquake. So maybe that's where I would go next, or I would just play Red-Green Beatdown. I could play Call the Herd. I could play Hidden Gibbons, Tempting Worm in the sideboard. Interesting stuff like that. If you want your deck to be a monster deck, losing to sort of if you're going to sample 3 sort of not fully tier 1 decks, but decks that you should be it should be on your mind: Grotog, Terrageddon, Mono Blue Tide, losing to all 3 of those, that's just completely unacceptable. So, sure, I could have done things differently, but who knows, maybe my opponents could have done things differently and then close that gap anyways. So, humbling. I really had high hopes for this league, and instead, was betrayed by Burn. I'm sure. One thing that I don't know if I fully have reflection. I feel if I was playing a Bobble Burn list, all of those matches that I lost would have gone identically. But I would love to hear in the comments if you kind of pour through the footage and just be oh, actually, if you had 4 bobbles in Price of Progress, you probably done more damage. I would have fewer 3 mana cost cards in Bobble Burn against Terragon, but I would also have 2 to 3 fewer lands. So, hard to say. I'd have fewer wastelandable lands too. So, again, it goes back, or naturalizable lands in the case of my Mishra's Factory, which I thought was saving my Sulfuric Vortex from Naturalize, but instead the Naturalize got my Mishra's Factory, and by taking off my 3rd mana, my Sulfuric Vortex my next Sulfuric Vortex that I was going to draw and any threatens that I was going to draw later. I just caught all of those. So extremely bad Mishra's Factory animation on my part. Just kind of assumed my deck would give me lands eventually. But yeah, I still think that I would still play some configuration of this burn, and I wouldn't consider Bauble Burn. But who knows? Maybe Bauble Burn, still has something going for it. But for now, anti-Dreadnought Burn, little disappointing. Is there a future here? Maybe, but definitely feels like less of a future than when I started this video. So, make of that what you will, but, get out there and burn people, or probably if you care about winning, just Dreadnought people. This has been another league on Magic Online. Next league, it's going to be 2 weeks from now, so it's probably going to be a long break, but, maybe I have to come back and just play, some stupid deck that can qualify me for the top 16, because having to wait for my next match of league play is frustrating at times. But yeah, we'll see if I can do another test video in the meantime. Like I said, I'd love to actually test this against Dreadnought. So yeah, love laning.